Hey everybody, how are you? It's your girl KC. I know it's been a long time since I had my face to the camera, right? Just taking my time each and every day. Oops. Okay. Yeah, I'm out here taking this walk, and yeah. So I don't know what I want to talk about with you. I mean, I had a conversation this morning, and we had a conversation talking about the what we talked about. We talked about Okay, we talked about a lot of things. I went over with you about white supremacy and how it's been affecting America for hundreds of years, and that has been the stain that took root in this nation. White supremacy, fooling people with a white Jesus. I always knew white Jesus wasn't Jesus. Okay, that was taught to me from a little girl. That's when you got a daddy in the household. He gonna let you know the true identity of who Christ is. That's why he pulled us out of that Catholic school, because he wasn't he wasn't feeling it. He didn't want his children indoctrinated, and it is what it is. My mother was grown, so she could make her own choice, but we were still too very young to understand all of that. That's how. But public school was good because I got to learn about the history of this country, and it was good to learn about that. You got to learn about the bad to get to the good, and that's what's important. Because sometimes, even though you're rejecting the bad stuff, it happened, okay? And it also supposed to bring you some kind of way of looking at where we came from and where we are today. And how did we get here today? And who was the people that sacrificed, who made their life a living sacrifice for us to have the opportunities that we have today. So I'm grateful, but I'm not going to sit up here and say I bow to a system, because I don't. Like people say, oh, we should have voted for Kamala. If we would have voted for Kamala, we would have stayed. Whoo, Lord Jesus, I don't know how to explain it. But for Black America to confront the racism in America and do it in truth and in spirit, I think we made the best choice. Because a white supremacist needs to be confronted, and we can't confront a white supremacist if he's hiding in, plain sight. You gotta have him right there, right there. So Kamala was covering up the white supremacy because she's part of it. Because whether you know it or not, her husband ain't black. Her husband is a white man. He's a white man. Okay? So what nothing said about her to me. She was being upfront and honest with us. She was playing on us. And that's why she wasn't my choice. Oh man, I mean, she wasn't my choice because I knew she was playing on us. Ain't nothing about her made me feel she was for black people or for anybody American. Okay? I think she was more for LGBTQ or her liberal, and also her way. She didn't have any faith, no Christian faith anyway. And if somebody ain't connected to Christ, I'm definitely not following you. At least President Trump do acknowledge there is a God. Okay? So that was the best choice. See, sometimes people want things that make them feel more comfortable, They don't want to go through what is uncomfortable. So they want to pick somebody because, they just going to do this or be an enabler, Somebody that's just going to give them stuff just to keep them calm, just to keep them pacified. Like you give a baby a pacifier, That's what Kamala does. And that's what a lot of them Democrats do. Those liberal Democrats. Anyway, they want to pacify you, And I don't want pacified. I want to know who you are, what to expect from you, or whatever. So I know, I know where to go with you. I don't want nobody hiding in plain sight with me, playing games with me. You really don't like me, but you playing this game, but you really want to have me like a lamb chop on your plate? Like, like Malcolm said. Oh, he was questioned by this at the time. In his time, he was being challenged by a black conservative who asked him, oh, you can't have any white friends? And Malcolm said, friends. He says, there's a difference of being friendly and being friends. He said, no, because the wolf, the fox is friendly to the lamb, but the lamb still end up on the fox plate as a lamb chop, okay? But the wolf, he shows his teeth, and the lamb, even though they both, the lamb knows, well, the lamb can't really see anything because the lambs, they blind because of the, they blind. That's why they have the shepherd to guide them. They can't really see because of the wool in their eyes. And so anyway, like I said, like I was saying, he said, the wolf, he shows you his teeth. He shows you he's dangerous and he's going to do harm to you. So you got to be careful with that. They both have the same appetite. Both. The liberal white person and the conservative white person. Okay? When they both have the same desire. Okay? But they use different strategies how to get you, to wean you in. So Black America, I'm just saying, we don't have no friends. Neither one of them are our friends. But, like I said, we only vote for policies. We don't vote thinking we are going to get equal. We have to fight for that. Okay? That's one thing we have to do. We have to fight to make it right. It ain't going to be ours from birth. I could tell you that. And Martin Luther King said it. We shouldn't be fighting for something that should have been ours from birth. But we fighting for it. It's in the framework of the Constitution. But not for us. We have to make it. We have to push it. Okay? And that's what Black America needs to understand. Conservative Black Americans. Okay? They sit on their platforms. They criticizing our civil rights leaders. Those who out there speaking for us. Putting their voice out there. And their life as a living sacrifice. And all you do is sit on a microphone and talk about them and insult them like they did Al Sharpton. Okay, when have any of them ever been out there doing anything for black people? When have any of them ever fought against the injustice in America towards innocent black lives? Like what's going on now with this Nolan Wells and all these other victims that's been taken out of here, snatched out of here by some supremacists, okay? So, I don't sit with those platforms. You know, when the MAGA movement was going on and the DNC and the RNC, of course I sat around and listened to everybody that sound something like agreeing on the same things I was agreeing on. But then they start getting messy when they started attacking Carmelo Anthony. They started with him. When that incident took place, MAGA was showing their true colors. They was on platforms harassing them, harassing black people, saying the most horrible things, harassing that black family. See, you can switch parties, but your heart is still racist. You understand? It ain't got nothing to do with your party. Because most of the Democrats that was over there when Trump got elected, they moved and switched sides for power. And a lot of people don't pay attention to that. Trump was a Democrat. He only ran Republican because he wanted to run against Obama. But all that other stuff is in him. Ain't nothing changed. And so was J.D. Vance. And he was very liberal. Okay? J.D. Vance was very liberal. So, y'all need to do your research on these people. I've been around for a long time. And I've seen Politicians come and go. I wasn't really so into politics, but I paid attention to the climate and to things that was going on at that time. They all used the same playbook. And that's all I want you to know. I'm in the store. I can't talk loud because I'm in this store right now. So I'll talk with you all later. I don't even know about that. You gotta ask them that. Most of the time, they do season their food, don't they? But I don't know. That's something you're gonna have to ask them. But I'm not white. So, and I put a whole lot of seasoning. But I had to slow down because of my health. I can't eat a lot of salt. Things of that. Things with sodium and all that stuff in it. I have to be very careful. So anyway, I'll get back with y'all later. So stay tuned for part 2. Peace.